happy to hear the split fiction news. Me too. Although I'm getting some interesting comments in the comments section. And the people that are watching that video, I swear people do not watch the videos. They go into it with the mindset of this is woke because women, or this is woke because purple. And I'm like, okay, fair. I understand that people feel that way based off of the recent transgressions of the game industry. And I understand everyone's a little bit gun shy with the current environment that we're living in right now. But the purpose of the video today was to expose the reality of what this game is. That was my intent. And I feel like I did that, at least to the best of my ability, in a 10 plus minute video, going into a fairly good deep dive of Josef Ferris and his company. And honestly, I couldn't find anything. If anything, I found a guy that was like, fuck you to the industry. And I'm like, I kind of like this guy. The more I started researching him, the more I was like, damn, this guy's legit. And his track record and the company itself, Hazelight Studios, has a history of making cooperative play games. One with two dudes, another one with two dudes, one with a dude and a girl, and now this one with two girls. And I understand why people feel the way they do about being very hesitant, being like, oh, it's the direction of culture, putting women up front and everything. I get it. But like the history, the track record of them and this guy's attitude. And he says he has two daughters and that's what inspired him to make it with two girls. I'm like, Jesus, guys, like, what are we doing here? How ridiculous do we have to be before we're like, all right, everything checks out. I don't think there's anything woke here. Just because it's a woman doesn't make it woke. My goodness, Metroid wouldn't have a chance to survive in the modern era. But I get the hesitation. I'm not trying to devalue the input, but what frustrates me is when people watch my video and then they comment something that contradicts the evidence I provide, which tells me that they either watched the video and didn't listen, or just clicked on the video to bitch at me and then clicked off the video and didn't watch it, or watched me speak about the facts that are involved with the situation. And then they get mad at me because it doesn't align ideologically with them. And I'm like, bro, you realize you start going that road, you turn into exactly what you're fighting against, right? Like you're no different than the opposition, than the other side, when you start taking this steadfast approach against women or certain things that get invoked in the game. It's a very delicate topic, and not every content creator wants to deal with it because it's a shit show. It's literally a shit flinging contest when you start talking about this stuff, because you're always going to have ideologies conflicting with each other, and it's a no-win situation, which is why a lot of creators don't bother talking about it. But at least with my situation, I was like, okay, this game is going gangbusters. This game has almost 200,000 people concurrently playing it. I want to look into this because it's curious. Two female leads, and they're going to be like working together, and there's purple in the background. This looks like an obvious woke game. That was literally my mentality going into it before I researched it. I was like, damn, this split fiction game has fooled everyone. And then I started researching, and I'm like, nope, it hasn't. It's just a very based developer making a very good game that people want to participate with. And this guy stands against wokeness, stands against microtransactions, stands against everything that tears games down. And he is very passionate around the fact of putting a high quality game together.
Someone in the video complained that the game has the LGBT tag on it. Told him tags are community generated on Steam, and he probably should boycott Valve if that's his issue.
Thank you, Sergeant Sapient. I thought I turned that off for this. I'm so confused right now. Hold on. What is Streamlabs? Do I have the wrong Streamlabs? Oh, I have the wrong Streamlabs. Hold on a second. Wait, why is it showing up though? I'm so confused. Okay, well, apparently it does text-to-speech on it. I left the text-to-speech on from the game stream last night, but I thought it was separate with the other channel, but apparently it's not. Now I need to figure out why one of them is not separate from the other one. It's confusing. But anyways, my greater point with the whole situation was, like, I feel like people are so quick to jump on taking a game down instead of just researching it and wondering if it's good. It's almost like people just want games to fail instead of remembering why you're in here in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, why you play games. Do you play games to be angry at every game that comes out? Do you go into it with the perspective of just being mad? Or do you genuinely want to enjoy the hobby and pastime that we grew up with and want it to be better? Because this game strikes me as one of those titles. Like, Split Fiction looks good. It's a game that I want to play, and most likely, God willing, we'll play with Hypnotic as soon as this weekend. Looking forward to that. But anyways, this is the game that I will be playing with Hypnotic, unless he roaches out.
All right, guys, just a few weeks ago, I remember during that PlayStation State of Play, they had a trailer for this game, Split Fiction, and to be honest, a lot of us thought the game just looked really cringy. Now, that doesn't mean the game can't be good. It's made by the same people who made It Takes Two, again,
He's
the
not
game
here.
that previously
Gotcha.
won Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Take that for what it is. Again, I know the Game Awards is not everything it's cracked up to
Which,
be.
to
And a
be
lot
fair,
of times
by the
they give
way, like, full disclosure, when I first saw this game in the State of Play, I was like, oh, that's a lot of bisexual lighting, two girls. Oh, okay, this is all the signs of being a hardcore woke fest. But that was before I did any research on the actual developer behind the game. And that changes so much of it. It's not even funny. The same thing with Avowed and Matt Hansen. Like, if Matt Hansen got fired by Obsidian and they made a public statement saying we do not approve of racism at this company and that was egregious and no one stands behind that, or even not even firing him, but making a statement saying that is something we have spoken to him and taken this on and addressed it privately, but that is not something that represents our company. Even that would have meant something more than just staying silent. They did nothing. But it matters who works on the games. You do the research on Hazelight and Josef Fares, and you're like, oh, no, this company isn't woke at all. This company's amazing. And these characters, yeah, exactly. They're based on his daughters.
To be, and a lot of times they give the wrong game of the year. Trust me, I understand that. I'm just saying this is a studio that made It Takes Two, a game that was massively successful and beloved by a lot of people. And so now they have this game, It Takes Two, and it seems like it's actually doing pretty well. So if you just look at what people are saying about it, you see from New York Times here, it says a jaw-dropping cooperative game lets writers run wild.
And you know what was perfect about this is it made the critics and the gamers both happy, because the critics were like, oh, women, that checks off the boxes for us. That gets a good score. And gamers are like, oh, it's a good game and it's not a woke company. That gets a check for us. So this was a win-win. It perfectly thread the needle of what they needed to do.
For Metroid, Portal, Mario, Halo, and more, Split Fiction follows two aspiring authors in the sci-fi and fantasy settings of their imaginations. Now, spoiler alert, from what I've seen from a lot of these reviews, it seems like a lot of parts of the game are very cool, especially if you're into co-op games. Main issue being the story is kind of weak. Okay, Now, obviously, the thing that sticks out to a lot of us right off the bat, if you just zoom in right here, 2 women. Now, to be fair, they're not even like ugly women, masculine women. They're just women, right?
Mhm.
Most gamers at this point are going to look at a game that features 2 strong, independent women and go, I'm out. I don't want to play this. From what I can tell, and this is not an endorsement of this game, I haven't played it. I have no desire to play it. I don't really play like co-op games like this. I mean, I play multiplayer games online, but not like this.
Inkling says, "Damn, Split Fiction is not on Game Pass." That's even wilder to see how it's doing so well and getting positive reviews. It's making people go out and buy the game. Like Game Pass destroys that.
I'm probably never going to play this game. But from everything I've read about it, everything I've seen about it, the game doesn't seem like some woke fest feminist slop. It seems like a pretty decent game. I mean, this is maybe...
Which, by the way, again, I have not seen this video yet. And Tebow's coming to the same exact conclusion that I came to. For what it's worth.
People who know how to make good games. And it's really funny because we see articles like this talking about Split Fiction's creator slamming microtransactions and looking forward to GTA 6. So, although they spelled it 4, that's very interesting.
That's 4.
That's, guys, fix that shit. Come on.
Yikes. Yikes.
Okay. So Josef Fares is known for being the director behind 2021's Game of the Year, It Takes Two, and for his iconic speech against the Oscars at the Game Awards 2017, where he said, F the Oscars. His personality is completely transparent, always showing a relaxed yet direct character with an expression full of charisma. Now, again, I don't know much about this guy, Josef Fares. So just take that for what it is. In a recent video on the Fall Damage YouTube channel,
you guys, like I did a deep dive on this guy before my video today. I spent multiple hours researching him because before today, all I knew about him was he's the guy that was like, fuck the Oscars, fuck the Oscars. And I was like, oh, he's just cringy, trying to be edgy. And the more research I did on him, the more I'm like, oh, I really like this guy. He's like, he reminds me a lot of me.
Split Fiction creative responded to YouTube comments on various trailers for his games. He says, I think that those kind of shit talking about microtransactions and how a game should be done. Let me back up. One of the first comments Ferris responded to mentioned no loot boxes, no microtransactions, no BS, words to live by. In response, the director was blunt about how these practices negatively affect the industry, saying, I think those kind of shit affects the design and how a game should be done. Every time you make a decision, a design decision taken on your making more money from the game, I think it's a huge problem and it's stopping our industry from a creative perspective. Another of the comments said that Split Fiction, you can read our opinion here, was about another feminism propaganda-soaked game. And again, I think this does a decent job addressing the criticism. And I think he actually says something relatively based in this. So just take that for what it is. Again, I don't know anything about this guy. He says, what the F is this? I guess that is someone overreacting that there's 2 women. Let me say this, in Brothers, The Tale of Two Sons, there were 2 guys. In A Way Out, there were 2 guys. In It Takes Two, there was 1 guy, 1 woman. And now there's 2 girls and everybody's complaining. Come on. I mean, let's face this. They are based on my daughters. I don't care what you have between your legs. That's not interesting to me. Good characters is what's important. I think that's a very based opinion. Now, does that mean the game isn't loaded full of feminism and isn't woke? No, because I haven't played it for myself. And I don't know anything about it beyond what I've seen in trailers and read about it up to this point.
And I got to tell you guys, like, my video today is performing okay. It's below average, but it's overall being received fairly negatively. There's a lot of people that are just looking for reasons to not want it to be successful. And they're getting mad at me for daring to do my due diligence before playing a game. And they're saying things like, oh, you haven't played it, though. How can you say what you said about this game? I'm like, bro, if I was saying the things that matched what your ideology was, you wouldn't care if I played the game or not. It's only because it doesn't match you that now that you're questioning if I played the game or not. Like this. This one 13 minutes ago from Death Jester. But have you played this game yet? You can't really make a video like this just based on hearsay or talking heads in good faith. To be fair to doubters, without you having actual experience with this game, this video can sound like a shill puff piece. I'm not saying that's the case, but you should know how things can look. I literally was as transparent as possible. I told people I have not played the game yet. I told people based off of my research, this guy seems very down to earth, very not woke at all. very straightforward, and making great games, doesn't like microtransactions. Like everything about what good games should stand for, that's what this studio does. And the first thing that people are saying is, yeah, but how can you say all that? You haven't even played the game, man. Whoa. What are we doing here? What are we doing? If I went into this video and I was just like, hey guys, I know they said all these things, but fuck them. It's 2 women and this game sucks and I can't believe everyone's fallen for it. People would be like praising me. They'd be like, yeah, you tell them, Smash. That's right. We don't want women lead characters in our games. Like nobody cares about the facts anymore. No one cares about the actual reality behind the scenes. They just have an agenda to push over and over again. It drives me insane. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that, because now I have so many people that are just like angry at me, unsubscribing because they're like, oh, you're not what you said you were. You're conflicting with what you said before. You're losing who you were. You're losing the audience that you've garnered. I'm like, this is who I've always been, trying to be as fair and non-biased as possible. If you were coming to me to reinforce your bias going into it, you're going to have a bad time, unless you're somebody that wants a balanced view and perspective of things. That's the way my channel has always been. And honestly, the times that I've strayed from that are the times that the channel has really fallen off. So yeah, it might work for a second when you're like, oh, let me go to what I think the crowd wants to do, or go what I think what people want, and start falling for that shit. It's like, no, I need to come back to who I am and say, this is the information. Do with it what you will. Get mad at me all you want, but this is the reality that I see. And I've done the research on it. Have you? Do you care to? Or you just want to say it's a woman, I'm mad at it because it's a woman? It drives me insane. Let me see. There's a lot. Let's see this one. I haven't read any of these because I've been on the live stream, but people, because I usually do read all the comments, but I can't read them while I'm streaming, obviously. People can believe and cope however they want, but I can tell you right now, the industry as a whole is going through a transitional period where they're trying to see how much they can get away with and what people will still buy. And I'm sure some people will call it a purity test or something. But the fact of the matter is the industry, in the West especially, is and was deeply infiltrated and has been deeply irreparably and unfixed and damaged. Okay, this game is not in the West, though. Their studio is in Stockholm, Sweden. Hazelight Studios is Stockholm, Sweden. Are people just assuming it's in the West because there are women? You have to trust your instincts, and the minute you stop trusting them, you'll be tricked by the smallest bit of what seems like them giving in. Don't trust that part of yourself that says we're winning. Know that the mass amount of people still in the industry still hate gamers and will only give them what they want if it's to trick them into forcing more crap down their throat. Don't be easily fooled, because that's the quickest way to return to the worst possible timeline that we're in just a few years ago. That's a fair comment. I'm not mad at that comment. The only thing I would disagree with is this is not a Western game. This was in Stockholm, Sweden. And this is someone saying, oh, what's happened before could happen again if you just fall into trusting them. And I would say, bro, I don't trust them. That's why I do my research. That's literally the point of the video that you just watched, was the research. Woke games have harmed all games. Now when there's a female protagonist, or in this case, a pair of female protagonists, it's a knee-jerk reaction for people obsessed about being against woke to immediately label it as woke instead of stepping back and looking at critically. They screech like the other side instead. That's what I'm trying to say. Step back, look at all of it, and then decide if it is or isn't for you. Not all games with female leads are woke, nor are they meant to be. Thank you. My goodness. More positive content and calling out anti-woke actors, please. Absolutely. It makes me angry to know how many people have friends. Not my type of game anyway. After the stunt Vavra pulled, I'd be hesitant to praise any developer because he says something good that aligns with the narrative if I were you. This is driving me nuts, guys. It's collateral damage, and the industry only has itself to blame. I was skeptical at first, but I listened and changed my mind. As long as nothing changes, it has my support, even if it isn't my bag. Thank you. Someone actually paid attention. Bro, did they pay you to make this video? Did they pay me to make the video? Did they pay me to give my honest opinion after researching about the background of the game? No, they didn't. I think he based the game off his daughters or some shit, which I can respect. Yes, he did. That was actually in the video. I agree. Female led does not mean woke. And his response seems perfectly acceptable to me. I'm not really interested in the game, but he sounds genuine. That's all I'm asking for. Make Lara Croft great again. Yes. I've played this game. It's very, very cringe. Character trauma, bond, and just talk about themselves constantly. May not be blatantly woke or anything, but the story and characters are trash. Gameplay can be good at times, but overall, we've seen this kind of platform before. Nothing stand out. That's fair if that's how you feel about it. Look at this one. I don't give a fuck about this game. You can advertise it as long as you want. I won't buy it. My guy, it was a video telling people about my research. It wasn't an advertisement. I did not get paid by this company. Looks like all the woke slop we're getting all day. And to be clear, I prefer microtransactions over woke crap. And yes, this game might not be woke, but I don't care. Yikes, bro. Yikes. All the comments here showcase exactly why it was so easy for the far left to infiltrate literally everything. Easy to please, mindless drones. The guy said some decent things, so he gets all the praise. But meanwhile, the game looks like trash with terrible character designs and very generic gameplay. Ever thought about the possibility that saying decently based things might be used as a marketing ploy to get gullible fools to buy shitty games? I mean, are we really going to twist ourselves into this kind of pretzel? I mean, of course, all of these things are possibilities, but do you even like games, or are you just looking for reasons to hate every game that ever gets made? Maybe just do the research and decide on your own if you would like to purchase and play the game. There's like legit mental gymnastics. Exactly. Fires makes one good kind of game, but he seems to understand that niche. I've never enjoyed his games, so I just ignore this one. But I noticed the usual fence sitters on X doing their I'm so sick of the anti-woke grifters claiming every game with a girl in it is woke, when I could find a single mention of this game by any content creators I watch. This is the first time I've seen anywhere outside of the shill games media. Rule number 1, it's always projection. Dude, this game has 2 uggo girl bosses. The color purple is everywhere, and the main villain is a straight white male. It's woke as fuck. I don't get this rightfully calling this game woke when it was first announced and then doing a complete flip-flop where now all of a sudden these elements are magically fine when the game is successful. Stick to your principles. I literally said to you guys, when I first saw it, my initial impression was, oh, it's more woke slop. That was my honest initial impression. I was like, okay, 2 girl bosses, bisexual lighting everywhere. Looks like a generic co-op game. Okay, I don't think much of it. I'm not going to care about it. Then I look into the company making it, and I'm like, oh, wait, it's by this guy. He's based as fuck, and he always has been. He has no indication of anything pushing him or motivating him to do what he did. And he has 2 daughters, and he said the game's based off of his 2 daughters. And being a dad with a daughter, I can relate to that. If I was a developer and I wanted to do a game based off my daughter, would people be like, oh, he's woke now, he's doing a game based off of a girl? No, like that's fucked. What are we doing? These content creators flip-flop harder than Fauci. It's like people just want, Hypnotic was right with the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 stuff. People just want to be patted on the head and told, yes, hate everything, you're right, hate everything. Sometimes, guys, sometimes there's a game that doesn't fall into that. And could this be a complete fool and tricking me? Yes, of course. I leave room for that all the time. But I didn't see any of that. And I'm not going to try to invent something that doesn't exist when I did a deep dive on the situation today. Be honest with yourselves. Deep down, you knew the redemption arc wouldn't last forever. Look, everyone's like mad at me for just being honest about this. That's crazy. That's crazy. Unfortunately, what happened is female girl boss characters have been shoved down our throats for so long, we just assume it's woke. I'm not sure this game is for me. I'd prefer making my own character, but I'll watch some videos to see if it interests me and make sure it isn't woke. That's fair. That's fair. Nope. Another female-led game in 2025? Dude, you've been dropping the ball so many times. Fake sources, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 shilling, and now this? Yeah, no thanks. You've lost your integrity, in my humble opinion. So yeah, the overwhelming majority of people are not a big fan of my take on this. Why? Because I dared to be honest with my findings. And it didn't reinforce their mentality going into it. So now they're upset at me, which it just blows my mind. Because do you subscribe to me because you want to be reinforced what you think? Or do you subscribe to me because you want the honest truth of what I find when I research something? Here's the other thing. And I know this based off of creating videos. This is the funniest thing. People get twisted in a knot because they think that I'm going against them, when that's the unpopular opinion. If I was trying to grift off of this and grow more and just lean into that stuff and lie, I would be like, yeah, it's more woke. Don't listen to this guy. He's lying to you guys. It's a joke. That's an easy perspective to take to get easy pats on the head. But I can't live like that. I can't do that kind of stuff. And I can rest easy at night knowing that people are unsubscribing from me because I'm not patting them on the head with telling them what they want to hear. These people want tribalism. They absolutely do. It's literally no different than the woke mind virus when they're like, no, you have to agree with us. It's us against them. I'm like, when you start doing that, you turn into them. Think for yourself. Make your own decisions. Take the information in for what it's worth. Decide if you want it or not based off of the information at hand. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. You don't have to. Research it on your own and then come back to me and then tell me what you found. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, it's crazy to me. It's crazy.